We're doing lesson 9 on the future, active, middle, and passive, and also aorist passive today. And if you missed last week, I feel sorry for you, because that was really one of the harder ones, besides going over chapter 7. Because we learned the imperfect and aorist. But if you have any questions on those, let me know. So overview, which I haven't been doing overviews, but I decided to do one today. It looks different on my screen than on there. But so number 1 is vocabulary. 2, review future verbs, the uses of the future verb, and also the future and aorist passive, because they kind of have the same thing that helps you out. So vocabulary. Let's just do 14.1 together. How about that? Okay, I'm going to say it, and you can repeat it after me. Ago. Iro. Akuo. Apakrinamai. Good job. Apostello. Balo. Ginamai. Ginosko. Grapho. Didasco. Dioko. Doxazo. Agero. Hetoimazo. Hetoimazo. Yeah. Is that? Yeah. Hurisco. Caruso. Crino. Lambano. Lego. Lepo. Patho. Pimpo. Y'all are doing good. Paru amai. Sozo. And I will stop there. So everything on the right side of 14 is going to be the aorist passive. And on 12, everything on the right is going to be the future. Any questions on pronouncing any of those? Or any questions on them? So basically, if you notice, we're to the point where we're just kind of reviewing vocabulary, and we're just learning the different forms of those vocabulary. So it's kind of a helpful thing to help at least get the words down if you don't have them, because there's really not that many new words. So we're going to start off by looking at a review of everything that we learned, sort of. When we learn the verbs, we learn that there's 2 tenses. There's primary and secondary. And if we could just know those, you have half of your problem of understanding the verbs covered, really. So the primary is o, ace, a, min, te, usi, and secondary is nu, sigma, nun, min, te, nu, or san. That's really what we've learned. And that's really the most important thing to get, because the verbs are built off of those. So this would be the active voice, and so the middle passive voice would be mai, sai, tai, metha, ste, ntai for the primary, and then secondary would be main, sa, ta, metha, ste, nta. So there's some similarities there, but those are very important to know. So. And remember, primary tenses have the present, future, and pluperfect. No, present, future, and perfect. And where secondary has imperfect, aorist, and pluperfect tenses. So you can, and today we've only learned present, imperfect, and aorist, and we're going to be learning the future also today. So the easiest way to understand verbs is looking at the verb morphology, and that's why I have this up here. So under the primary tenses verbs, what we've learned today, or so far, is the lexical morpheme, the neutral morpheme, and the person number suffix morpheme. So lu amai. Lu is the lexical morpheme, the omicron is the neutral morpheme, and the min, or mai would be the min is up on the board, but I said my. That would be the person number suffix. The secondary tenses, which we've already learned, the past tense morpheme, which would be the epsilon, the lexical morpheme, the aoristic morpheme, which would be the sigma alpha, sa, and the neutral morpheme and the person number suffix. So we learned the aoristic morpheme last time, which is the sigma alpha. Everyone understand all that? Pretty simple. So you can break the verbs down into two systems, primary and secondary, and that can kind of help you out. So just a review of everything that we've learned. Present, you have luo, lues, lue, luamen, luete, luusi, luamai, lue, luetai, luametha, lueste, and luantai. And remember that the present can be progressive and habitual. I am doing this continually, or I keep on doing this, I go on doing this, or it could just be a summary, I am doing this, if that makes sense. The imperfect, eluan, elues, elue, eluamen, eluete, eluan. I could do this to kind of help out. Eluamen, elu elueta, eluametha, elueste, and eluanta. Anyway, that's it's kind of like the present, and it can be progressive or summary, but it's in the past tense. So you use the helping word was or were. So instead of I am doing something, I was doing something. I was doing something continually in the past, if that makes sense. Or it could just be a summary, just I was doing this. And aorist, there's two types of aorist, and that's usually done by, depending on spelling, like in English, we can say I made something, or I make something. Make would be the present, made would be the past tense form. Whereas you could say I baked something, with the ed at the end, or I baked something. Baked with the ed at the end would be the past tense, and bake without the ed would be the present tense. Well, the same thing happens in Greek, just different spelling. And the ones that the sigma alpha is kind of like the ed in English. So if you can recognize the sigma alpha, you are able to recognize the easiest form of aorist. But the second aorist, if you're looking on here, it looks pretty much exactly the same as the imperfect. You have the past tense and you have the new. You have the past tense and the whatever the person number suffix it is. The only way you can really truly understand or know what a second aorist is, either if you know the word or you look it up. So that's really the only two ways you can know. So that kind of makes the imperfect, you have to look it up too to make sure it's not a second aorist, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Could you just go through like one line and then translation?
Yeah. So luo would be I loose, or I am loosing. Eluan would be I was loosing. Elusa, I loosed. And elipon is I left. And lepo would be I leave. Sense? Good? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And remember, when we come to the ones that have the middle passive together, which would be the present and imperfect, you have up to 5 options if it's plural, and 4 options if it is singular. Remember what those are?
I don't remember the names, but I remember going through them.
Yeah. So you have the passive, reflexive, intensive, indirect, and reciprocal, I believe. So that's 5. Aorist, and as you can tell, we've only learned the middle. Today we're going to learn the passive. So under aorist middle, you just know the 4 or 3 different ways. Cool?
So what would that be? The aorist middle, what would the translation be?
Like elusamen would be I myself loosed.
Oh, right.
I loosed for myself.
Weird example.
Yeah.
I loosed myself.
I guess we can use the word destroy because that's another meaning of it. I destroyed myself. But yeah. So any questions on that? So, actually, David, could you hand this out? I just need one. There should be enough. So I'm handing out a handout for what we're learning today. So we're going to begin by looking at the future. You know, what's the movie called? Back to the Future? Yeah, we're going back to the future. If we have never been to the future before, we're for sure going to the future. Is there extras? Or missing one? Oh, here. So future is pretty simple. So if we look at what we already know, we have primary tense morphology. We have the lexical morpheme, which is lu, right? And we have the, let's just do luamen for our example. We have the neutral morpheme, which is omicron, right? And then we have the min, which is the person number suffix. Now you want to know how easy future is? Put a sigma. So the sigma is going to be your clue on future. Make sense? So when you do something future, you would translate it like, instead of I am loosing, you say I will loose. So you usually apply the word will or shall when you're translating. You want to do another example? You can do, throw one out. Pick a person number for Luo. Eli. Third what?
Third singular.
Third singular. So you have, what is it, Lu A?
Yes.
So you put the A, and then you put the Luce. Simple? Any questions? No? So this is why it's really important to understand how the word is made up. So you have Lu, which is the lexical morpheme. The sigma is going to be the future time morpheme. The omicron is going to be the neutral morpheme. And then you have the min, which is going to be the person number suffix. And that right there is the easiest way to understanding the future. The problem, though, is if a verb ends with a consonant, things happen. It's called amalgamation. And I don't know, the Greeks just don't like the S sound. And really, when you think about it, the sibilant sound it has a hard time with some consonants. So to start off, you have consonants or letters that you pronounce with your lips, even in English. But here it's the P, the beta, and the phi. You use your lips to pronounce those. You want to try that with me? Just say P.
P.
See, you required your lips to pronounce that, right? Well, if you add a sigma to it, it forms a double consonant up C, right here. Yep, see that right there? So if a sigma is added to any of those, P, beta, or phi, it turns into a psi. So just think, anything that you can use your lips to make the sound, it's going to turn into a psi. It's the easy way. So blepo, because it has the P right there, turns into, if you add the sigma, turns into blepso. Got it? Because those consonants, the P, beta, or phi, combine with a sigma, goes through a process called amalgamation, and they combine and they turn into a C. So number two, now you have also consonants you pronounce in the back of your mouth or your guttural, your throat. So you have a kappa, gamma, and a chi, or a chi. Anyway, because it's in the back of your throat, it's kind of sometimes hard to put the sibilant, which is at the beginning of your mouth, to the back and in connection with a letter that's pronounced in the back of your mouth. So what they do is form a Z. So a kappa, gamma, or a chi plus a sigma goes through the amalgamation and forms a Xi. So ago becomes axo. Make sense? Because if you were to do agso, it's kind of hard to do that. You have to remember the Greek is kind of like a fast spoken language, kind of like Spanish. And a lot of it's phonological purposes and reasoning on why phonological would be how things sound, as to why some of these things drop out. And sometimes the sigma is just weird, and it just drops out. Okay, verbs that end with the dental consonants, things that use your teeth to pronounce letters, the tau, data, delta, and the theta, they just drop out altogether. So peso would be peso. Not the Spanish money, but peso. Any questions on that? And no? Okay. Then you have the sibilant sounding, any consonants that have a s sound to them. So you have the sigma, the xi, zeta, and a psi. They just drop out before the sigma. So a sozo, for example, would be so-so. So basically the dental ones and the sibilant ones, they just drop out and allow the sigma to stay. And we'll learn the liquid consonants later. So many Greek verbs have two stems. There's the present stem, which is used to form the present and imperfect tenses, and the verb stem itself, which is used to form the other tenses. I usually see the verb stem as the root. The Greek is made up of many different roots. And if I could just kind of illustrate this. That's a good word. So like the example on here, you have gnosko. Well, gnosko is not from gnosk. It's from gno, and which produces the future stem gnos. And the same way with keruso, it's not kerus, but keruk, which produces the future stem kerux. So basically the sigma, the kappa drops out on the verb stem, and it's lengthened to kerus, and that's where we get keruso.
Where does the iota go with the
Iota, that's so the verb, the present stem is lengthened. So it's just they add the iota there. So this iota right here is added in.
So for the future stem, I mean, that's like two consonants together.
This, wait, which one?
Like it's a
Gnos.
yeah. So I mean, you don't
So-
you just say them as one. Like,
Yeah, so geno is the root.
yeah, but I mean, it's got two consonants right next to each other, which is kind of weird.
Oh, geno, yeah.
You just don't say the D.
No, you do because it says gno. Oh.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you could not say
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just kind of, if you understand that this gnosko comes from geno, then you can understand that when the future and other things that happen, like second aorist, that the future form is going to be this, gnos. So, if you had a ending on it. Got it? I don't want to be confusing. I'm just saying that there's about 300, maybe 400 root words in Greek. And basically every word that we know in Greek is built off of those. And you can get a pretty good guess on what those words mean if you just know the root words. I'm just using ago for example. Because sunago is I gather together, and you make that into a noun, sunagoge, it's a gathering. It's a gathering, really, and the Jewish call it the synagogue, and that's where we get our word synagogue from. So even though the meaning is synagogue now, I think it's possible that the initial meaning behind it was just a gathering of people, kind of like church, ecclesia. It's just a gathering community. If that makes sense.
Called out words.
I don't. Hey, I'm against the called out one part. It may have meant that one time, but in Koine Greek, it just means community. Let's use ago. Remember what ago is? It means I lead. Okay? Got it? Well, the root is from og. And you can make compound words with this. You can add a ana ago, which would be, you just take the alpha out right there, ana ago. And you can add the preposition ace. Well, ace ago. Anyway, it just keeps going. You can ex ago, power ago, adding the prepositions to it. But ago is I lead. Ana ago is I lead up. Ap ago is I lead away. You get the apa preposition. Ace ago, I lead in or I bring in. And you just continue on. But then there's other forms of the word that can grow on. You have can everyone see that? Yep. Synagoge, which is synagogue. And that's actually has the root og in it, with the preposition soon. I'm just showing you that if you are able to just know the root words, it will help you understand Greek in general a lot better. It'll help you understand some of the second aorist forms and so on and so forth. Everyone understand that? Okay. So there are some future verbs that form the future tense and that are irregular, which you just have to know. So hamartano is hamarteso. So the alpha is lengthened to eta. Heurisco is heuresco. So the iota is lengthened to eta.
Kappa falls out.
Oh yeah, and the kappa falls out. Yep. So there's lengthening and there's some dropping out. Yeah. I think the kappa drops out because the sigma is added to it, and I think the sigma just drops out because it's just there, and the iota lengthens to a eta, probably for some contract rule, I don't know. But that's just more in-depth stuff. Just so you know that there are some words in the future that are irregular, like let go, arrow. I can't tell you why. It just is.
So I think from what Noah has told me, a guy at the seminary, what happens with something like that is there were originally two words
Yeah.
further back, two separate words, and one of them kind of fell out of use, but one of the forms kind of remained in use, and it kind of, the two words kind of merged in their usage, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain.
It's kind of like go and went.
Yes, exactly. They were originally two separate words.
Yeah. It's very possible. So the uses of the future. Basically, if you add the word will or shall to it, some of it's kind of just intuitive, I think. But the main uses of future is the predictive future. It indicates what will take place or come to pass. So John 14:26 is, He will teach you all things, something that will happen in the future. Their imperatival future is used to express a command, you shall love your God. And the deliberative future is used to ask a question, which implies some doubt about the answer. What shall we say then? And so Romans 6:1. So really, the only way you're going to understand that is context. Context is the only thing. So biggest key to translating is context, context, context. It's actually on one of my Greek exams.
That is actually, I think, partly why some of the exercises are difficult for us, is because we don't have the context.
Yeah. So you have a lot of options, some flexibility. Yeah. So the ame verb, which is very important, it has a future. Keep in mind, even though it has the middle passive endings, it's just future. So SMI is just I will be, and it's not passive or middle. It's just because ame does not have a voice, so technically it won't have a middle. Or
I will be being.
yeah. So it's on under 12.4 in your book. I recommend just looking over and just be familiar with those. I can't think this one is as common as other ones. I don't think so. This time might be, but in the Gospels, that's pretty much about it. So future passive. Okay, any questions on the this future in general? No? Any? Okay. So future passive. The future passive indicative is built on the aorist passive stem, which is basically the root stem, which we talked about earlier. However, there is no augment because the future passive does not express past time. The augment is the past time morpheme, so the little epsilon at the end. So if you see future, it's not going to be past because it's talking about the future. So you know it's not going to have the epsilon at the beginning of the word because it's talking about things that happen in the future. It takes the same endings as the future middle indicative. However, we'll just look at it, for example. So you have luo. Now give me a person number, someone. Pick a number.
First person plural.
First person plural, and we're going to do first person plural would be metha. I don't have room. So easiest way to understand the passive and this is a theta and an eta. So luthe metha, right? Am I thinking it through? Oh, it's mine. Oh yeah, I forgot the sigma. Sorry. There is a sigma to indicate that's future. Luthesa metha. Luthesa metha.
What's the sigma called?
There's not really no parsing to it. It's just the breakup. It's a
You're breaking it up into like
future time morphing. I call it future time morphing. But if you just understand that indicates the future in the primary tenses, you're good to go. You questioning? Got me a look, Aaron.
I wasn't sure if you considered the face kind of collectively in
Oh,
parsing, or if it's technically separate. So, pastime morpheme. They
I take it as
is
separate.
a passive.
Sigma is future time morpheme. And theta is passive. That's what I take it as.
Future time.
So, a kind of easy way to understand the theta eta is when they're together, they look like a chair or a throne or something like that. And you can just picture like an easy chair, yeah. You can picture a little man just relaxing. And he's just saying, hey, I'm just, let it happen, man. Okay?
Pretty much anytime you see a theta.
Not a theta,
words.
an eta. Thetas drop out.
Theta 2.
Well, yeah, theta. Theta eta is the biggest key.
Well, I mean, if you see the theta added on, it's some kind of passive.
Maybe. I know that theta drops out, so eta is usually there.
Okay.
So basically, you have lu, the, some, my. You have the lexical morpheme, which is the lu. You have the theta, which is the passive morpheme. Sigma, future time morpheme. The omicron is the neutral morpheme, and the my is the person number suffix. Does that make sense, the theta eta part?
So can you translate that, please?
Yeah, so that would be, I will be, or well, my would be I, but I will be loosed. Yeah. Or if it's metha at the end, it'd be we will be loosed. If it's what is it? Luthe say, it'd be he or she or it will be loosed. Cool. So the aorist passive, just looking into that. So it adds the theta eta also. And it actually, did I? Deleted a slide. That's what happens when I don't go back through. So yeah, the aorist passive adds the theta eta, and it actually takes in place of the sigma alpha aoristic morpheme. I'll go back to this slide. So because there's a theta, and this applies to future also, because there is a theta added to it, same kind of rule with the sigma added to it, you'll see changes that happen. So the guttural, kappa, gamma, key, plus a theta would be a key and a theta. So ago would be ekthane.
I'm never going to read this. I see egg now, I'm not going to think I go.
And there's a typo in your book. I don't know why they put a theta with a p beta, but it should be a phi. If that has a theta added to it, to be with a phi and a theta. So lepo would be elaphthane. So your dental ones, the ones that you pronounce with use your teeth and your tongue, 2 teeth. So you have a tau, a delta, and a theta. Plus a theta, those drop out, and actually a sigma is added in its place. So patho would be pasthane, epesthane, yeah. And the sibilant ones, at least the zeta, xi, and psi plus the theta, there would be a sigma also plus the theta. Any questions on that? It's just something you just need to be aware of. I'm not expecting you to know it, at least now. The main thing is the theta, eta. Everyone see that? If you can see that, it's like, okay, that's the key clue that this is probably going to be passive, and now I need to figure out what this word is. And if you're able to figure out, then you can just look it up from that point. But if you're able to recognize that this is a passive, and you'll know that it has the epsilon, or if it begins with a vowel, it'll lengthen, like the alpha turns into eta. And so it has the pastime morpheme there, and it has the secondary person number suffix tenses, nu sigma nun, those, it's going to be the aorist. Any questions? Basically, I want you to be able to recognize it. It's my main thing. I'm not worried about all these rules. I'm more worried that you recognize the theta eta, because the theta stays in these. So, I really wish I had the other slide. But anyway, so you have the theta eta, but you don't have the sigma alpha. Remember, the sigma alpha is the indicator for the aorist, first aorist anyway. Remember that? Well, the theta eta actually takes its place, and it so it's going to look like a imperfect, but the theta eta is what's going to make it aorist. So the imperfect does not have a theta eta. So if you see a theta eta with a pastime morpheme and a secondary tense person number suffix, and I believe it's only in was it not present, but the it's throwing me off now. Nu sigma nun men te nu endings. It will not be the main sa ta metha ste nta. It will not be those. It will just be the nu sigma nun men te nun or nu. That's basically it, just recognizing it. And so past tense, how that would be translated would be I became loosed. Yeah, I was loosed. Yeah, I was loosed. So this would be I was loosed. If you had a sigma at the end, right here, it would be you were loosed. And if you have the nothing right here, that would be he, she, it was loosed. So the men at the end, eluthe men, that would be we were loosed. Eluete, or not that one. Eluthete, that would be. So the eta is actually going to kind of act as the connecting, the neutral morpheme. So you won't see a neutral morpheme on those. So it would be eluthe men instead of eluthe amen. It's eluthe men. Not men, but yeah, men. Yep, men. Any questions on that?
So that's because the eta makes a vowel sound. That's why it's like
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Yep. I don't think I put an aorist passive on here. No, I didn't. Oh well. Anyway. Oh, there it is. It's right there. I have the slides mixed around. Oh, I already did. So, because there's second aorist that are built on the root form, and also the future is built off that same root form, some words, usually the theta drops out. So the example up here from grapho is graphein. So the theta drops out, but you have the eta right there. So this is going to happen with both the future and the second aorist that are built on the root stem. It's just one of those things you have to just know and look up. Okay? You have a question? No. So if you can recognize that this is second aorist from your vocabulary, and you'll see the eta right there, It's a clue that that is passive. So the future would be same thing, graphesamai, which would be I will be written. And notice that it's in the mai sai tai methis de ntai endings, which is usually known for the middle passive anyway. But the future will have also the eta. Future passive will have the eta in it. So there's a distinguish between the future middle and the future passive. And the only difference would be the theta eta or the eta. It's like the easy boy chair without the back for the eta. So you have a little guy just sitting on it, relaxing, hoping not to fall off. Pretty simple, right? A lot to memorize. Any questions on that? But generally, if you see a theta, eta, that's passive. And there's not, I don't think there's as many, just where the theta drops out. I mean, it's going to happen, but I think the theta, eta is going to be more prominent in your translations as you go through the New Testament. So this is just a review of everything that we discovered. Except for I forgot to put the aorist passive on there. I only put the second aorist passive. But just know that the sigma alpha drops out and the theta eta enters in its place. I'll have to, it's in your book on page 96. I'll have to add that in next time. Any questions? So if you realize this is a lot of things and to recognize, and in your book it'll say like principal parts. So present active would be one principal part. Future would be another principal part. Aorist would be another principal part that we've learned, and also aorist passive would be, which actually I think is the second aorist passive, would be another principal part. So that we've learned 4 principal parts, which is just another way of memorizing. I'm teaching the morphology route instead of the principal part route. So if you are able just to recognize little things like the sigma alpha, the theta eta, it'll help you discern what this word is. Instead of saying, okay, this is present, but realizing that the imperfect is built off the aorist stem, and this is kind of confusing. So I'd rather just look at the morphology, the makeup of the word. I just think that's. So yeah, any questions? Yes.
Can you just remind me what are the primary tenses and what are the secondary tenses? I just want to figure out that.
Yeah, it'd be what was it? Primary would be O, ace, A. So it'd be everything in the present on that on this thing, on the present.
Yeah.
So it'd be O, ace, A, men, te, usi.
But I mean, that's all future?
Well, future would also fall under the primary tense. So primary would be present, future, and perfect. And secondary would be imperfect, aorist, and pluperfect.
Okay, there we go. Imperfect,
Aorist,
aorist, and future.
yeah. So those should be on the other handout, I think. I can make it. I'll make another handout next time with everything. So vocabulary, this is just a lot of these you've already learned, honestly, or maybe haven't learned, but should have learned. And we're basically using the same words over and over for the next couple lessons with a couple added here and there. Everyone got those? Okay. Got it? Need me to zoom in or anything? All right, not quite. So homework would this be the under 4.10 on page 99, 1, 5, and 11. And I wanted to look at Hebrews 6:1. If you have a Bible just your Bible, English one's fine. Yep, your translation, right? Go ahead and open it up. So I wanted us to focus on the passive, and I think I said it earlier. A lot of times, yes.
Why are there stars?
Oh, that's I'm using the Nestle Allen right here, and they have all these little markings that mean something.
This is just verse 1.
Yeah, just verse 1.
Oh, yeah, it's the wrong verse.
Okay. So, we haven't learned this yet, but dia is therefore. Yep. I guess I should give context to this. So, if you have it, can you read? I think it's the very. Can I see here?
I don't know what translation this is.
Can you read 11 through 14 chapter 5?
Right now.
Sure.
Of whom we have much to say, and hard to be explained, since you have become dull of hearing. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. You have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
Okay, who would like to sum that up into like maybe one point? You want to?
Sure. It was about saying how people who are new to the Word of God need to learn the basics and not be overwhelmed by all of it. And those who have been accustomed to the Word of God for a while need to learn more stuff. They can't just like know the gospel and that's it. They need to know a lot more.
Yeah. And what did it say about those who knew a lot?
They can eat meat.
Yeah.
I mean, like spiritual meat.
Well, spiritual meat, yeah. But it says something about them. What does it say?
They are skilled.
I think it's saying that you should be teachers, but you're not, right? Is that what it says?
Did it say that somewhere else?
You should be eating,
Teaching people?
basically eating solid foods, but you're drinking milk still, right? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways. So that ends, that closes chapter 5 off, and it's really, he's deviating, Paul, I would say Paul, but the author of Hebrews is deviating from, he just got done talking about Melchizedek, and now he's basically starting a new thing. He's like, hold on here, before I go any further, I need to talk about something different. And he's saying, look, you should be you should be able to eat actual meat and potatoes, but you're still on milk. And those who are on milk, they're not maturing. There's anything. So he gets to the sixth one. So therefore, let's see if I can remember all my words. So therefore is this one, diat. The main verb is going to be this one right here, therometha. Does this word even look familiar to anyone? Pharaoh. Yeah, I bring. Pharaoh, I bring. We don't actually know what the omega part is, but we do know what that is. So that's going to be, what is that ending? Huh? Yeah, first person plural. Now, is it, what voice is it? Passive? Yeah, it's either going to be passive or middle. So we haven't learned it, but it's a subjunctive. Oops. Anyway, it's a present subjunctive. So I think it's a present subjunctive, which we haven't learned, which is basically either a possibility or there's other uses of the subjunctive, which I'm going to use the other use on this one. So present, I would say passive subjunctive, first plural. So it's we bear or we carry. Do you have a question? No? Let? Let us. So I would say it's let us. Yeah, but it's with the subjunctive, so it's leave, right? Yeah, I think it's let us leave. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's let us leave. I should know this because I'm doing this right now. But I think it's let us leave. It's in the participle, which is like ing, but there's other things. And taste our case. Do you remember seeing our case?
Discussion.
Huh?
Is it discussion?
Not discussion.
I know it was the
Beginning. Yeah, so it could be here, it could be either beginning or like elementary principles type of thing. So something that's at the basics. So just an example of how words have multiple meanings. So let us leave the, let's just do elementary. Yeah, be the first things, yeah. Let us leave the first things. Yep, you do that. That's actually a good one. And so things would be actually come from the logon. It'd be like, which is from logos, be like words. It could be also be matter. Principles. Yep, first thing, first principles. And to Christou, what's that? Of Christ. I'm running out. There we go. Epi. Anyone remember what epi is? And what case that takes? You can look at your vocabulary.
Not laying.
Huh?
Not laying.
Not laying? No, it would be not laying. Not laying would be, the negative is in the next part. Upon. Yep, so we got to find a place to put the verb. So therefore, let us leave the first things of Christ. And I'll probably put the verb here. And how would you translate so Pharaoh, we know that, right? which is I bear, I carry, right? And we want to say, how you could do this passive or middle. How would you put it in passive? Just what you know, based off what you know. So instead of I carry, I am carried. Yeah, I am being carried. Yeah, I am carried. So you could do be carried. You could probably say towards maturity, or what is epi is upon. What's another one?
On is another translation.
Yeah, on. What's this thing say?
Up to.
Yeah, up to. So it's going on up to. That's probably. And so, tele ateta is like perfection or maturity. It has tel, which is like end time, like end or complete. Just how things are built upon root words and kind of help you understand that. So to be carried to maturity, maybe, or completion, perfection. So, therefore, let us leave the first things of Christ and be carried up to maturity or toward maturity.
For perfection.
For perfection. Okay. Now, you have your Bible on your phone?
Yeah.
You want to read that verse? Just that first part?
Yeah.
I've thought it up.
Yeah, you want to read it?
Yeah, it says, therefore, I've got New American Standard, okay? So, therefore, leaving the elementary teaching about the Christ, let us press on to maturity.
Press on.
Exactly, that's a big problem.
Okay. You have another translation besides NASB?
Yeah, I've got the ESV. I just have to get to it. Hold on a second.
Oh, you're fine.
Hebrews 6:1. Therefore, let us leave the elementary doctrine of Christ and go on to maturity.
And it says go on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, granted, this word could, so the basic meaning of the word is to carry, to bear, to bring, to move to a location. And some people, because of the context, translate this word to be like an active, to be go on. Now, you could, I guess, translate this as a middle, because it's an option.
So, what would middle be?
Let us leave the first things of Christ, ourselves. I don't know. I think about it. I don't think you can convey that in English.
Difference of be carried versus carry ourselves. I don't know.
Yeah.
Carry ourselves, though, is a little bit, and that changes things, right?
Very much so.
If it's passive, it's almost like
You're being carried.
you're letting the Spirit do it. Like you submit
Mm-hmm.
and let the Spirit move you.
And carrying
You
ourselves.
say carry ourselves.
It's kind of like you're doing it, right?
So
Yeah. So you see, like like a translation thing right there, issue.
Is there any translation that has it as a passive?
Yeah. I
Is Randall translation?
no.